Six European governments just told their officials to stop using WhatsApp and Signal. Not because they were hacked, not because the apps are broken, but because Europe has decided it can no longer afford to trust American technology with its most sensitive communications. And here's what the headlines aren't telling you. This isn't just about messaging apps. This is the opening move in one of the most significant geopolitical tech shifts of our time. Hi, I'm Sirat, a lawyer turned cybersecurity specialist. With a background in law and tech, I analyze how technology, cybersecurity, and geopolitics collide to shape global power. And what's unfolding right now across Europe is one of the most important stories at that exact intersection. Let's start with the facts because they are more alarming than they first appear. France, Germany, Poland, the Netherlands, Luxembourg, and Belgium have all launched their own government-controlled messaging platforms for public officials. NATO already operates its own secure messenger, and the European Commission, the execution body of the entire European Union, has announced it will complete the switch to its own messaging infrastructure by the end of 2026. This is a fast timeline. Now, WhatsApp is used by more than 85% of people in Germany, Italy, Ireland, Romania, Portugal, and Spain. It's not just dominant in Europe, it is the default. And Signal, while smaller, is considered the gold standard of encrypted messaging globally. So why are six governments, NATO and the EU Commissions walking away from both? That question is at the heart of everything I'm going to explain. Here's what most coverage gets completely wrong. WhatsApp and Signal both use end-to-end encryption. That is the gold standard for messaging security. There is no evidence that these apps are technically less secure than their European alternatives. So the argument is not European apps are safer. The argument is this: who controls infrastructure and under whose legal jurisdiction does it sit? WhatsApp is owned by Meta, an American company. Signal is run by a US-based nonprofit. Both operate under US law. That means American courts, American intelligence agencies, and American government pressure can, at least theoretically, reach into those platforms. As a cybersecurity lawyer, let me be direct about what matters. It's not about whether your messages are encrypted in transit, it's about metadata. Who you talk to, when, how often, from where. It's about compliance logs. It's about who can demand access to the data and under which legal framework. European governments have concluded that the answer to that question cannot be Washington. So my question is, what do you think? Write your ideas in the comments below. This shift didn't happen in a vacuum. A series of specific events turned a slow-moving concern into urgent action. First, Signalgate. Senior Trump administration officials were caught exchanging classified US military operation plans on Signal. If American officials cannot secure their own government communications on an American hub, why on earth should European governments trust the same platforms? Second, the EU's own security breaches. The European Commission told senior officials to shut down a Signal group chat after security concerns. The EU suffered a string of cybersecurity incidents affecting its mobile device management systems. And in March 2026, a cyber attack hit the Commission's cloud infrastructure directly, compromising its web presence on the Europe.eu platform. Third, and this one is political. Commission President Ursula von der Leyen faces a vote of no confidence, partly because of her WhatsApp messages with the Pfizer CEO during the billion-euro vaccine negotiations. Those messages were never disclosed. They couldn't be. Consumer apps aren't designed for institutional accountability, audit trails, or compliance. They are designed for convenience. Each of these incidents reinforced the same conclusion: relying on external, commercially driven, American-controlled platforms is a structural vulnerability that Europe can no longer afford. Tell me your idea. What do you think? What is your proposal or expectation from your government? Do you want your government to rely on another country for software and infrastructure? Please write it in the comments below. I would love to hear from other people around the world. So what exactly are these replacement platforms? Belgium launched Beam, a closed government-operated messaging service for public officials handling sensitive but unclassified information. It serves around 750,000 civil servants and military personnel. Belgium's deputy prime minister explicitly cited a recent Russian espionage campaign carried out through WhatsApp and Signal as part of that justification. France's platform CHAP already has over 600,000 users across French state departments. Germany uses Wire, a European provider, and the German Armed Forces Bundeswehr messenger was explicitly described as an expression of digital sovereignty, nothing that, unlike commercial platforms, no data is sold, no advertising is displayed. The Netherlands is piloting its own government control alternative with a long-term goal of full adoption. And here's what makes these platforms genuinely different from WhatsApp. It's not the encryption, it's the control architecture. These systems enforce who can talk to whom, they retain message logs for legal compliance, they allow government to audit metadata without filing a request with Meta or Signal. They cannot be shut down by a foreign government, they cannot be subpoenaed under US law. Matthew Hudson, CEO of Element, the company powering several of these systems, put it plainly. The urgency from governments over the last 12 months has been unlike anything before. I want to know your thoughts about the big tech companies from the US. Tell me, what are your thoughts? While governments are building their own platforms, the EU is simultaneously fighting a legal war against Meta over WhatsApp's market dominance. WhatsApp controls more than 85% of the messaging market in several European countries. That kind of dominance draws regulatory fire. In December 2025, the EU opened a formal antitrust investigation into Meta focused on its AI chatbot policy. Essentially, Meta had announced that only Meta's own AI, Meta AI, could operate natively on WhatsApp in European Economic Area. Third-party AI providers like OpenAI and Anthropic were blocked. Under pressure, Meta revised the policy in March 2026, but instead of opening access, it introduced a free structure charging third-party AI providers between 5 and 13 cents per non-template message. At scale, across millions of interactions, those fees would make rival AI chatbots economically unviable on WhatsApp. The EU's antitrust chief, Teresa Ribera, called it what it is: replacing a legal ban with pricing that has the same effect. A second charge sheet was sent to Meta in April 2026. Meta hit back, arguing the EU was trying to force its platform to subsidize large American AI companies like OpenAI. A small bakery in France, Meta said, shouldn't be paying OpenAI's infrastructure bill. It's a compelling PR argument, but the underlying legal issue remains. When a company controls 85% of a market, the rules around abuse of dominant position apply, regardless of how the pricing is framed. If this resonated with you, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. That helps me a lot. Here's the tension that most analysis completely misses. While the EU is building sovereign messaging platforms and fighting Meta over market dominance, it was simultaneously trying to break encrypted messaging for everyone else. The European Commission pushed hard for a regulation known informally as chat control, which would have forced encrypted messaging platforms to implement client-side scanning your messages on your own device before they are encrypted in order to detect child sexual abuse material. Cryptographers and privacy experts were clear. This fundamentally breaks the security model of end-to-end encryption. Signal publicly threatened to leave any jurisdiction that mandated backdoors. But in April 2026, the European Parliament voted to kill the interim regulations, 311 votes to 228. Platforms lost their legal basis to scan private communications. Here's what the vote reveals about the EU's actual strategy. Government-controlled messaging platforms resolve the chat control contradiction entirely. If officials use closed government systems, the scanning debate becomes irrelevant for internal government communication. The EU doesn't need to break encryption on WhatsApp if European officials aren't using WhatsApp. The EU can have sovereignty and encryption, just not an American platform. Before we continue, here you can see that a lot of my viewers are unfortunately not subscribed to the channel. Please subscribe to the channel and hit the like button if this video resonated with you. Now let's zoom out, because this is where it gets serious. The messaging app shift is not an isolated decision. It's one component of a systematic multi-sector strategy to eliminate European dependence on American-controlled infrastructure. If 6 EU governments plus NATO plus the European Commission can successfully migrate off WhatsApp and Signal, what stops them from migrating off Microsoft Teams, of Google Workspace, of AWS, cloud infrastructure, of every American platform embedded in government operations? I have another video which talks about shifting from Windows to Linux, and also shifting from Microsoft package to LibreOffice and open source EuroOffice. You can watch them in the descriptions or on my channel. So today, the answer increasingly is nothing. The network effect that made WhatsApp dominant starts working in reverse the moment key institution users leave. When the Prime Minister uses Beam, ministers follow. When ministers use it, civil servants follow. The migration moves through organizational hierarchy, and the effect is the same. American platforms get systematically replaced one sector at a time. European governments watch Trump threaten NATO allies, impose tariffs, and demonstrate that American reliability cannot be assumed. They watch US tech companies bend to political pressure, and they reached a conclusion that it is reshaping digital infrastructure across an entire continent, and of course, the rest of the world. American technology platforms are not neutral tools. They are extensions of American power. So here is the insight I want you to leave with. This is not a story about messaging apps, it's a story about who controls the infrastructure of power in the digital age. And Europe has decided that the answer can no longer be Washington. The EU is not just regulating big tech anymore, it's replacing it, piece by piece, platform by platform, sector by sector. And the speed at which this is happening should tell you everything about how serious the geopolitical rupture between Europe and the United States has become. If this video made you think differently about what's unfolding, drop a comment below. I read every single one, and if you are not subscribed yet, this channel is exactly where stories like this get told before the mainstream catches up. I will see you in the next one.